started?
Yeah, we're live.
Hey, it's camera.
Dude, it's fine. We'll never see
Alright,
you.
that's it. I'm ready. What is wrong?
Hey, you-
Dude, turn off the camera. Turn off the
No,
webcam.
dude, I'm not turning it off. Wait, is anyone on?
Shut up.
But
Turn off the webcam.
no, dude, I'm not going to.
Why?
Dude, because they need to see me talk. They won't see me talk, I swear. I'll turn off the mic and everything.
Turn off the camera.
Yeah, I
don't
got
care
you.
about the
I
mic.
got you. I got you. Hey, wait, who's in this? I can't even like talk. Never mind. Alright. Hey, bro. Join, bro. Oh, why are they leaving?
There's two, bro. Think.
Yo, sit on. You trying to email me the link, bro, so I can watch it on my laptop?
I got you.
Okay.
What's your email?
See what happens when you wear sweaters tonight?
Yeah, facts.
I know, I'm just starting it now.
Bro, I just want you to wear a hoodie.
Dude, shut up, bro. I'm not wearing a hoodie.
You're seeing I wore a hoodie, bro.
Dude, no, that's bad luck. You have to look etiquette, bro.
Hey, Rohit, I sent it to your Gmail.
It's not even alright, that's not work, but like, no, just wear like hoodies, bro.
Oh, no, dude, if we...
Dan wore a hoodie against me, bro, no cap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
you're
Dan's
close.
Dan.
I told you. Wait, Sana, is this my school or personal email?
Your personal, I think. It's the one with 63 in it.
They both have. Alright, that's perfect. Hey, just text when they're on so we get on this shit. What the hell is this quote you put in here?
Bro, dude, shut up. This is supposed from a few years ago.
Dude, what?
Shut up. Rohit, shut up. Dude, shut up, shut up, shut up, shut up.
Anyone in this world, if you do something,
Dude.
you're just
Wait, what is it? What
Yo,
is it?
chill, bro.
Wait, what is it? What is it?
Chill.
Motherfucker said don't compare yourself.
Bro.
Alright, text when the round starts.
Alright.
Dude, I'm just looking.
Yeah.
Can you close the door?
What?
My camera is flip. Hey, bro. This is Sanan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why does Mesh look like such a baddie in the back?
He is, dude, man.
What do you mean?
Why are your pictures with Krish?
Hey, dude, no, on Mesh, my low pack came in. I'm gonna go get that.
Can I see it?
Yeah, I gotta go get it. I'm gonna go get it.
Lied to me. Said it wasn't video. Video's my arch nemesis.
Yeah. Yo, I'll get on the stream when the round starts.
I see you.
Yeah.
You keep it like that at least. Like
Yeah, yeah.
What's up, Brokey?
He's coming. He's getting something.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. We gotta match Alex's success at Sylvania last year.
Where'd they go to? Quarters or
Yeah,
semis?
they went to quarters, but they had a pretty hard path. I think. They beat MN. And then, like,
I don't know.
how y'all beat MN, bro? What the heck?
Oh, hey.
Dude, when is this round gonna be posted?
What? Close the door. I don't care. Close it. What the hell are you doing? Who do you think you're gonna hit?
I don't even know, bro. Hopefully some like, dude, we can really beat all these teams, bro. They're all, none of them are even good. Bro, are there gonna be spectators or no?
On a match. On a match.
Oh yeah. Oh.
You
Oh,
gonna
is
wear
that
that with them?
Huh?
You're gonna wear that?
No, what? Those are so much. Wait, what color are they?
I got this blue one and a black one.
Oh, the blue one looks fire.
Thank you so much.
Is that for Ashlyn? Is that for Ashlyn?
Huh?
Is that for Ashlyn? Like,
Dude, I don't know. You're the one who talks to Ashton, bro.
no, dude. She literally said you'd tell Rohit when we found out she couldn't bring a judge. Like,
Oh yeah, that's actually kind of fire.
Stop.
It's fine, bro. It doesn't really matter. All right.
wait, should I do FaceTime or YouTube?
YouTube.
YouTube's pretty fire. Or Discord. Discord's also fire.
No, what the heck? Discord
no,
gets so many
don't-
notifications, bro.
no,
Random.
No, Discord, if you stream, we can see your screen. And, like, we can, like, hear the other people also.
No, dude, no.
That's whack, bro. No. You can hear the other people here. I don't have headphones.
Wait, really? Oh, okay, good.
Dude, when are these
Oh,
people gonna?
That's it. My laptop's broken.
Mm.
My computer audio doesn't work anymore.
Oh. Hey,
Wait, is
bro.
that Alex? Oh, that's Alex. Oh, never mind.
No, scrolling through Discord right now. Georgia Tech results came out.
Oh.
I'm trying to see who got in.
Alex, what acceptance letter have you gotten yet?
OSU honors. That's all. Kind of
Nice.
tough.
That's pretty. Do you get full ride?
What?
Do you get full ride?
No.
Disappointed. I know, I got a full ride.
He did.
Yeah.
Which is it? The moral one?
Hmm?
Do you know which one he got?
I think he got merit.
That Animash told me.
He's like, yeah, he got a full ride. I think it
They
was a
didn't
merit.
release the scholarship stuff yet. They only released.
Yeah, they
the
released it like 3 weeks later.
honors.
Dude, so I low-key like the score.
What?
I like the quarters. Yeah, so I'll be back. in, like,
Oh
a
my
minute.
god, dude, when they close, I'm low-key like nervous.
See ya.
When Facebook.
Do you have paper?
What?
Do you have paper?
Sure, let's see. Okay, wait, hold up. Let me see. We have to put our four here. Do you have any more of these lines?
Papers? I gave 4 of them to you.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
only used 3 so far.
But do you have any more?
No.
Bro.
I mean, I have 3. Those are from you, though. I can.
Oh, you have 3 more. I have 2 more.
Dude, I gave you 4 at the start. We had
Okay.
2 rounds. You should have
Okay,
given
facts. And then paper. I got you. Paper. You have no paper left?
No.
Alright. Dude, this is gonna take a really long time. You're trying to go do something.
No, dude.
What do you mean?
It won't take that long.
They will go.
If we're late to this round, they're like 10 minutes. We're gonna like.
2. Alright, what did we just debate? We just debated con, yeah. Honestly, it's good that we're fluent in both Torah and con, you know?
Yeah.
It's like not so one-sided. What if I see the con? Like con runs are better. The con runs are better. It goes just more blocks. Yeah, pro. And then con is just mostly domestic. And then we're not closing around. I think it just probably ended. They're probably closing in 10:15. I don't know if they really posted. Where is it? Who's in it? Is anyone on it?
No,
3.
bro. They're probably not even like actives. Like, what are you trying to do?
Mine is still not posted. Started at 11:45. Oh, it should be posted at 1:15 then.
But you're trying to like put on your hoodie.
Hmm?
Yeah, you're trying to put on your hoodie.
Why, bro?
Just do it, dude. It's intimidating.
How?
It is like Dan wore a hoodie.
Yeah, but Dan is intimidating because he's Dan.
No.
Dude, I'm not trying to wear a hoodie and mess up the whole. Dude, I'm trying to just have debate etiquette, bro. Like, if I wear a hoodie every single day of the year, I'm trying to wear this for once. 10:15 to 11:45 it took them. So if this one started at 11:45, it'll take to 1:15. Or it'll take to 1. We should be done. We should be getting that thing right now.
There were only 3 doubles left. I don't know what's taking so long.
We did a pretty good job winning this last one, right?
Hmm?
We did a pretty good job winning this last debate.
Yeah.
Because, like, oh, let me see Lonzo Ball versus LaMelo Ball stats right now.
Dude, none of them are all-star caliber players. So
LaMelo, like, he's a rookie, bro. What
I
do you
know,
expect?
but he's nothing compared to like
Luka?
Zion or anything.
What? Zion doesn't even shoot a 3. He shot like 2
It doesn't
threes.
matter, dude. Zion's way more efficient. He plays way more defense.
Zion? Yeah, okay, that's true. Actually. Wait, Lonzo.
Like House of Pilots hypes him up way too much. He's not like.
Wait,
The same with Lonzo. Lonzo's not an all-star.
yeah. Wait, Lonzo Ball. What?
Yeah, what's net worth? What I'm trying to see.
Actually, he's averaging. Lonzo's averaging.
11 points.
No.
That's his career.
12. 12?
That's not all-star stats.
Yeah, no, he's averaging 12, 3, and 5. What is LaMelo averaging? He gets benched. He comes off the bench.
For a reason, dude.
No.
Devontae Graham's better than him.
Okay, wait. He's averaging 11, 6, and 6. It's not bad. What is LaMelo's net worth?
They gotta have at least like 2 million.
He's making
10, bro. What?
Lonzo's net worth. Lonzo's making 6.
How?
Wait. Oh, LaMelo, that's because that's his endorsements, shoes, and stuff.
Okay.
Dude, get off the screen.
Okay.
Just like put it in the back.
Yeah.
It's unmuted.
Yeah.
You are?
Not now.
Wait, how do I get there? Oh, yeah. Dude, how do I get there? Oh,
What? Just go to the normal place. Is there anyone in there?
no. They just finished their round, probably.
No, it could have been a team that already got a blind.
Oh, that's right. Why?
Dude, okay, I'll turn it off. No, I'm not gonna turn it off. I'll like.
No, keep it on. Just have it in the back of your thing. Or wait, whatever. It doesn't matter. C20. All right, C21, 14, and 5. Let me see. Did
How do we know who C20
Yeah,
is?
C20 had a bye. Matthew Grant. It's Grant.
Grant who?
Griffin, Zane's old partner.
Oh.
Yeah, it might be GG's.
No, it's fine, bro. Don't worry, dude. Don't worry.
Alright.
Bro.
Oh, Grant might be a judge.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's Drew Sadu. It's Drew Sadu. Yeah. I know who they are.
Alright.
They're good. Matthew Lee and Drew Sadu, probably.
Yo, bro, Alright, bro.
Okay, what?
What is he saying?
Hey, be quiet. Get around. You can't stop. Move.
Wait, who are the other judges? Yo.
Wait, okay. Who are the other two? Like
Yeah,
your
I think the
strategy is
parents.
to change.
I think their parents, like.
No.
Okay, then don't spread.
Okay,
Just
okay.
go semi.
Alright.
But like you have to win the flow though.
It's Tessa's dad. It's Tessa's dad. The
Oh
other.
shit. No, it's fine. Just split.
Yeah,
Just split the parents and win Grant.
Okay. Yeah, and then just go on the stream.
I
Alright, are you guys on our
Dude,
stream?
make sure your strategy has to be good. Don't lose this shit,
I
bro.
won't, bro.
Alright, chill, bro.
Do not get triggered.
I don't.
Alright, we got it. Hey guys. It's like, are we going? Is Drew Sadu and Matthew Lee? Are you guys the competitors?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, cool. And then we have. Okay, then we have like 3 judges. So I think there's 1 more. Alright, cool.
It looks like we're waiting on one judge.
Yeah.
Everyone else.
Okay.
Are you got Animesh and
Yeah, I'm Animesh Shukla, and this is my partner Sinat Nagar.
perfect.
I think I'll just ask about preferences when the 3rd judge comes as well, just so I can understand them. Alright, so
Wait, have you had him before?
Drew Sadu, no, I remember him like at he breaks but doesn't get past breaks really. Like he's okay. It's kind of like Christian Walker type level. You know those leader
Yeah,
all right
yeah.
teams. Yeah. It's fine. I mean, We beat other teams. So we just need to like focus here. What the heck? Grant grew out his hair so much.
Really?
Yeah, look at Grant, bro.
I can't see. Oh yeah.
Dude, dude, he used to have such like a cleaned up cut, dude. What the heck? Now he looks like Sebastian.
Yeah.
Wait, contention 1, convention 2, domestic disaster. We got Neg and Coco. Bro, when is Tessa's dad coming in, bro? Do you forget we have to judge? He's listening. Oh god, is this so fun? Dude, I thought we were hitting Grant. I was so scared, bro. Forgot this duo. Bro, Grant seems so disinterested. Look at this. He's like, what are these scrubs I'm judging? All right. Dude, bro, what is this, bro? She seems like not like really late. She seems like she can understand what you're saying decently, right?
Mhm.
Dude, what the heck? What is wrong with you? Dude, stop, bro. If you see something,
Bro. What are they? This happened in Advit's round last year too.
really?
No more weighing overviews for English.
I don't need rain. You stop talking to them, bro. Who cares?
Why?
What do you mean? They can't talk back.
So?
So what? They just listen to your retarded ass voice talking.
It's debate how you normally do it. Like,
I know, but
normally-
okay. I'm not looking at my phone.
Mm.
Well, I will prefer our argument. Dude, prefer our arguments for a few reasons. Oh, dude, we're using Wang.
Dude.
All right, I don't know. We'll see. We'll try.
This is like the conference settings, bro. No, this is the first round. I think.
No, it's not No, it's second round. So conference.
No. The quarters is like the.
Who cares, dude?
Yeah.
Dude, this guy's not. He can't be that good. He's pretty good though. He's alright.
Someone say something. I just changed my voice or audio settings.
Yeah. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. It's working. Thanks.
Okay. Good. Oh wait, is tab staff Is that like our last judge, or is that just okay? Well, it's not.
I think they were just checking to see why we hadn't started. So hopefully they'll send someone soon.
Yeah, I think we're still missing out on like the one judge right now. So. Wait, what is that?
Grants Prada.
Also, please do a good job explaining. Oh, hold on. What? I'm trying to read this. I'm a big fan of clarity, so. I feel like 5-second blippy turns in rebuttal. Okay, so just go for normal stuff. Be nice, I'm down with. Dude, stop, please wait. If you do it, you'll make it so much easier. Also, weigh warrants. I think any bigger company. Meta weighing is good. Nuance is fun. I'm all for args that are only debate world. Read warrants. Okay, that's just about the case. Oh wait, Cross is paying super. He definitely does not care about Cross. Cross is 100% binding. Theory never. Wait.
Dude, you touched some.
Wait, let me see theory.
Don't worry about it.
Never read it as a debater. That's cap. Nice. Tab staff joined again. Okay, wait.
Dude,
Wait, what? That is content.
bruh. If he calls for evidence, we'll look at it.
Why?
Don't worry. I'm just kidding.
Dude, yeah, bro. I'll run it down.
Bro,
Dude,
no, he's calling for evidence though, bro.
Dude, no, we're actually done. If
Dude,
you
no. So just don't go for the evidence that says that like
What?
wait, hold on. Drones took down ISIS. That's cap, bro. Don't say that.
Alright. Wait, so we're not going for drones?
No. You can't say drones took down ISIS. It's gonna call for.
Oh,
it,
he
bro.
joined.
Alright.
Alright, let's go.
Stop.
Alright, I think we got our third judge, so we can get it wrong.
Give me just 2 seconds to get ready.
Okay, yeah, sure.
They just called me on my phone. I just raced over here.
Okay. Alright, that's testing standard. Alright, wait, did he say, wait, can I read it though?
Dude, it's nothing. I mean,
Is
just
one
look.
of the other judges going to keep time? I'm assuming since I'm late, you guys will already figure all this out.
Yeah.
I can do it.
Okay. Cool. Then I'm ready. I'll be on mute. So you'll just see me thumbs up when I'm ready to go. I'll have my phone.
Alright, so really quick before we begin, do any of you guys have, like, the judges, do you guys have any, like, personal preferences?
I don't have any like preferences specifically, but like I vote on the flow and tech as fast as you want.
Alright, cool.
Yeah, I've judged a lot. Go as fast as you'd like. I'll be flowing along, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as you can be understood, you're good.
Cool. Alright, I think we were here first, so you guys can, like, flip the coin, or we can call it.
Alright, I can flip the coin. Get the coin.
I'll call heads.
Siri, flip the coin. It's loading. Hold on.
Hats.
It's
Alright, cool. I'll take second speaking.
Alright, we'll take pro.
Cool. Well. Alright, cool. That works, actually. Did we just win on con? Like today?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Alright, yeah.
Alright. Whenever speaker one is ready.
Yeah.
Alright, is anyone not ready? Okay. And I will begin my time now. Juvenile firm resolved the NSH United surveillance of U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residences. Our first contention is the opioid crisis. Currently, the NSA blatantly intrudes on the Fourth Amendment. The NSA U.S. civilians without warrants. As 2018 reports that the NSA puts 125,000 targets under surveillance each year through wilderness wiretapping. This is a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment, setting a precedent for the rest of the government. Fighters 414 writes that the NSA sets the precedent that the state may force its way into the private affairs of citizens, even when they are suspected of no crime, thus disrupting the Fourth Amendment. Due to this precedent, the Supreme Court has become exceedingly lenient on the issue, as CL 16 finds that the Supreme Court recently decided to ravage the Fourth Amendment by deciding that police officers are allowed to stop anyone without probable cause, further expanding the police's unchecked power. Police have relied on these violations to execute the war on drugs, as Clinton 11 finds that police officers are removing the restraints of police seizures in order to carry out the war on drugs through this leniency of the Fourth Amendment. The impact is the opioid crisis. Reversing the current trajectory is critical, as police crackdowns are surprisingly worsening the opioid crisis. Going 18 reports that arresting dealers can make drugs more dangerous by disrupting the supply chain in two ways. First, users turn to unfamiliar sellers, which increases the risk of consuming unknown product. Second, dealers ironically sell more highly potent drugs like fentanyl because denser products are easy to conceal. As a result, the number of deaths from fentanyl has exponentially risen. Figure 18 quantifies that as a result of increased deaths due to fentanyl, just in 2018, the rate of opioid overdoses increased by 37% to over 49,000 deaths. AJMC 19 finds that the total costs that were associated with U.S. opioid use over 15 years amounted to more than $72.4 billion. This is important because this imposes considerable financial burden on state Medicaid programs, and the burden is only increasing over time. Importantly, Ward 20 finds that an increase in the burden on state Medicaid was associated with a 4.4 to 4.7 reduction in state spending on additional Medicaid. With already planned cuts on Medicaid, CBPP explains that this would be disastrous because it would prevent states from making upfront investments in innovative programs, investments in care coordination needed to improve beneficiaries' health and reduce long-term costs, and aid for seniors and people with disabilities. Ending NSA surveillance takes the legs out from the DEA, as Glisson concludes that when an agency fails to meet its original mandate, Congress will be forced to narrow the agency's power and essentially render it useless. Our second contention is Israel. Conflict is brewing. Schwartz 19 wants a widening campaign by Israel to blunt the threat posed by Iran's ally Hezbollah, are raising the risk that the two sides will stumble into another war. Israel has expanded that effort to Lebanon and Iraq, places that will end in a war. Schwartz furthers that Israel uses intelligence to track Hezbollah efforts to manufacture missiles. NSA surveillance enables this. Bruno 14 explains that the NSA has significantly increased the surveillance assistance it provides to Israel to provide vital spying services regarding opposing targets. Remo furthers that Israeli aggression will be impossible without the support of the NSA. Israel's surveillance isn't enough on its own. Hussein 19 finds that although Israeli intelligence gathering capabilities have improved, Hezbollah has also acquired significant new arms in fortified areas under its control, affirming Russia's assistance. ProPublic 13 finds that there is no fully reliable way to separate domestic surveillance and international surveillance, which means that if domestic surveillance was removed, it would bring the end to international surveillance, which in this case would be the data Israel is dependent on to escalate the risk of war. ACLU adds that the NSA conducts weekly surveillance of American international communication that is dependent on acquiring domestic communication, furthering the fact that removing NSA domestic surveillance would end international surveillance. Conflict would lead to extinction. The Tonsky 20 concludes that Hezbollah's missiles and rockets are akin to weapons of mass destruction. The continued existence represents a direct threat to every Lebanese and Israeli citizen. Thus, any third Lebanon war is apt to involve nuclear mass destruction. Huddy 18 furthers that analysts estimate that maybe as many as 1,500 to 2,000 rockets fired into Israel daily during the next war, compared to just 130 to 180 per day during the second Lebanon war. It would cost thousands of lives on both sides. Thus, Cuban and strongly urge to be pro-balance.
All right, cool. Let me just get my All right, can everyone hear me okay? All right, cool. Partner ready?
Yeah.
Opponents ready? And then all three judges, are you ready? All right, cool. Then I shall begin. Now, we negate the National Security Agency should not end its surveillance of U.S. citizens and lawful permanent residents. Contention 1 is trampling terrorism. Harris of the Foreign Policy explains that when the NSA is targeting foreigners, they inevitably collect huge amounts of American data. In order to stop surveilling Americans, the NSA will be forced to end all surveillance. That being that the NSA surveillance has been the key to fighting terrorism in two key ways. Subpoint A is global terrorism. In 2014, the New York Post finds that the U.S. adopted the strategy of using drone strikes to combat terrorism worldwide. As of 2020, Morgan of the Washington Post reports that the U.S. military operations are heavily shifting to drone strikes to fight terrorism. The NSA surveillance is key, as Tomlinson 19 writes, that drone strikes rely heavily on the NSA's ability to gather mass amounts of data of phone records and emails. Specifically, Johnson of The Guardian finds that NSA feeds data into algorithms which identifies terrorists, allowing the U.S. to launch drone strikes. When the NSA does surveillance, they collect a massive amount of data, allowing drones to be extremely accurate in taking down terrorists. This is why Michaels of USA Today in 2017 writes that drone strikes were the key in taking down ISIS and saving millions. Empirically, Parkinson of ABC finds that in 2013 alone, the NSA surveillance prevented over 50 terrorist attacks worldwide, and deaths from terrorism has declined by 52% in the last 4 years. Overall, Brigham University finds that the probability of a terrorist attack falls by 24% following a drone strike. The impact is exacerbating terrorism. The NSA has been crucial in containing ISIS, as the U.S. Cyber Command writes that ISIS lost 98% of its territory following drone strikes. Without the NSA, Carpella in 2019 finds that ISIS would freely return into Iraq with a more devastating campaign than before, killing 21,000 people per year. Subpoint B is domestic terrorism. Jones of the CSIS finds that due to political polarization and economic inequality, domestic terrorist ideologies are on the rise. NSA surveillance is necessary. Lewis 14 reports that mass surveillance of communications is the most effective way of discovering terrorist attacks. As Rangappa 17 explains that the NSA uses mass surveillance to collect information on possible terrorists and pass it on to the FBI to conduct investigations. NSA surveillance has been extremely successful in decreasing domestic terrorism, as Zapolsky of Washington Post quantifies that the FBI has arrested 100 right-wing terrorists in 2019 alone. The impact is bioterror. Kohler 17 furthers that these terrorist groups are looking towards bioweapons in hopes of gaining political attention. Unfortunately, Grady 19 finds that the coronavirus has created a blueprint for future bioterrorism, especially since the cost of a potential bioweapon would be next to zero. Denzing of CSIS finds that such a bioweapon could kill millions. Contention 2 is domestic disaster. Davies in 2020 writes that scientists estimate that we will face a pandemic or health emergency at least once every 5 years. They will occur in factory farms. Heidi 20 writes that several Midwest states have adopted a process called factory farming, where animals are held in close contact, drastically increasing breeding grounds for new viruses. Historically, Britannica writes that strains of highly contagious H1N1 viruses have been found in factory farms, killing 50 million people worldwide. The NSA has developed a method of contact tracing to catch viruses early and stop their spread. Rothstein 20 furthers that since COVID was a failure, political support is rising for increased surveillance to prevent another pandemic. Empirically, Mike's 20 writes that Taiwan used mass surveillance to stop coronavirus, resulting in only 6 deaths. Fortunately, Baker of the CSS writes that the NSA surveillance provides the best early warning system, and due to its sensitive legal nature, only the NSA can collect data on a mass scale. The impact is saving lives. Kara 20 writes that the next pandemic would be 10 times deadlier than COVID, killing 900 million people. Save these lives and negate.
I'm gonna surprise.
Okay, I'll take a little bit of running prep before class. Starting. Okay, wait, so first.
Just ask them why Israel hasn't attacked yet, and then like Medicaid. Why is Medicaid funding?
Yeah, I
going
was
up?
incentivized. All right, cool. All right, cool. I'm good. That was like 7 seconds.
All right,
All right, if everyone's ready, you can have first question.
very well. Now, with the NSA so effective with the term domestic terrorism, why did we see the Capitol attack occur?
Well, okay, I would argue that the Capitol attack was really, like, it wasn't the NSA's fault. The NSA notified the Capitol attack would actually happen. I would say the federal police didn't act on it because of what Trump said. But can I have a question?
Can we see the card of the NSA notifying the Capitol?
Sure, I'll show you that after cross. But can I have a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you talk about Israel and Iraq attacking, right? Like Israel being a war. But what is the incentive to attack for Iraq to attack a U.S. ally?
Oh, sure. Because Iraq and this is pretty obvious through historical presence. Iraq and other Israeli extremist groups have literally came out throughout the years and said they want to destroy Israel, right?
Yeah,
It's
sure, but like,
seen before.
okay, but how is that stopped by NSA surveillance? Like, what do we do? Like, explain.
Okay, so what we're arguing for is that Israel is so dependent on NSA surveillance to increase this escalation of war, right?
Yeah.
So since it's so dependent, if we remove NSA surveillance, all this aggression would stop because, like we said in the Greenwald case, Israeli aggression will be impossible without the support of the NSA, right?
Okay, sure, you can have a question.
All right. So if the NSA stops the spread of like future pandemics and stuff, why did they contain COVID?
Okay, 2 reasons. One, I would say the Biden administration is going to handle a new pandemic in a much better sense. And second of all, it didn't originate from the U.S. NSA only stops the pandemics that originate from the U.S., which we tell you that will actually happen with these factory farms in the Midwest states that we.
probability of that actually happening?
I don't have like a exact like empirical number, but I can tell you that there's many strands of the H1N1 viruses that have been found in factory farms that have killed millions. So can I have a question?
Okay, wait, just follow question. So if these are actually found, I haven't seen that like a big impact that happened in America.
Because the pandemic hasn't started yet because of the NSA. We want to prevent the pandemic. Can I have a question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so you talk about the Fourth Amendment, right? But wouldn't you agree that citizens would prioritize being surveilled rather than just the amendment be broken? Like, wouldn't you prioritize that they would actually be safe with the surveillance?
It's matter with surveillance. Surveillance, like what sort of surveillance really doesn't matter because what we tell you is that the NSA want this white thing is happening either way, regardless of what the surveillance want or don't want.
Okay, right, but
either way, regardless of what the surveillance.
Okay, yeah, sure, but the deaths in terrorism have declined since the NSA is ramped up. Like, if that's happening, that's saving civilians.
You can't really say that when like there's literally empirical evidence that domestic terrorism increased by 300% since 9/11. So
Okay, well, hold on. Like early, we have a card that says that terrorism deaths have declined massively after the NSA, but I can go further into that later.
Yeah, it's also in the process. I'm trying to address all their terrorism points and rebuttal.
Okay, sure, cool.
Before that, can I have your card about bioterrorism costing $0?
Yeah, sure. Bioterrorism costing $0. Okay. Do you want me to just put it in the chat?
Yes, please. And then a control F.
All right, that works. Yeah, I got you.
I got it.
All right.
Tell them the control F cost. And it'll be like the first one.
Okay, can you send me the link?
Yeah, I got it.
And also, can I have your date on the H1N1 factory farms card?
The date?
The date, yeah, I
Okay,
just
cool.
need the date.
All right. Well, can you just 592?
Yeah, dude, you can check on yours. Are you muted?
Yeah. Dude, it's not. Dude, I don't want to pull up the straps on it.
Cost. Okay, and then what was the next one?
It was the H1.
Date on the H1.
Yeah, the date on the H1N1.
I don't think it really matters. But
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's Britannica. It's
Does it say-
It's at the bottom probably.
Wait. Oh, wait.
Why would you?
I don't think it says like a clear-cut date on here. I can send you the evidence if you want. Is it?
Sure.
Yeah.
And I still need the other card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting the email right now from them, and I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Also on cross, can you bring up the capital, like the NSA sent information to the Capitol Police that like.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Which one is it you sent to? Oh,
Dude, where was the evidence that the NSA knew about
I don't know. Lily and Clara said it, so I said.
Dude, we don't have that though. Like, oh my God. Wait. Send them this. Like,
Alright, send me that.
I don't even. It doesn't say that. Like, that's not even an argument. Okay.
Yeah, it's not an argument. It's fine, dude. Sure.
You joking? I'm just kidding.
Alright, the first one is like the H1N1. It was like the date, but like I couldn't find it, so I just sent you that. And then the second one's the one you asked for. Oh, and then the Capitol Hill. I'll get you that.
Tell them to control F cost.
Okay. It's nothing.
This is the Capitol, yeah.
Control F cost and which one though?
On the one that says the bioweapons are $0.
And for the bioweapons of $0, the Control F is cost.
Just so we can find quicker.
Did you say it was cost?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
cost.
yes. Just in order to like to find the evidence pretty quickly, like where we cut the card, just control F cost.
Okay.
So there's a paywall on the Washington Post one. So can we like just control F like what quotes on it? Because I can't actually access it.
Okay, sure.
What do you?
There's a paywall on the Washington Post.
I can't do anything about it.
I mean,
Wait, so what do you want us to do?
like, what should we do? Fucking-
I think you guys can just like command F like what evidence like the exact evidence saying that the NSA sent information to Capitol Police.
Okay.
Because like that's the aspirin cross, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah.
I don't think I can get to it either. Like,
Oh.
should we just like, it doesn't matter. Just no, drop it. It's fine.
All right. Oh,
We'll just
well,
drop
like
that.
there's like a new paywall on that too for us. Like we didn't know about it
Yes.
until like now.
You
So I
can
guess
drop
you can
it.
just drop that in your decision around. Like,
Alright.
Okay. Then I'm gonna run some prep to look at the two cards. I'm starting the time now.
it's fine. That's not even our
Yeah,
argument.
it's
So just talk about our argument more.
Okay, I'm marking that as the end of time. I have 2:33 left on the clock. Okay. So with that, I use my time. Okay, so with an off-time roadmap, I'm just gonna go down my opponent's flow, and if time permits, I will respond to some of the points they made in the crossfire. Let's start the time now. Judges, let's start by looking at my opponent's first claim about global terrorism and drone strikes. There are two main points here, drone strikes and conventional terrorism. First off, one of their cards that they cite about 50 terrorist attacks started by the NSA is just a lie. As found in a dramatic congressional testimony, Senator Leary forced a formal retraction from NSA Director Alexander in October 2013 when asked if he would agree that 54 cases that were cited by the administration were all not plots and only 13 had some nexus to the United States. Leary said that he agreed to that statement. So from that, you can clearly see that their evidence on this is flawed. And then you can go to a White House panel member who said in 2019 that the NSA program has stopped no terror attacks and the program is non-essential to doing so. Our government has clearly taken steps back since this original claim about 50 terror attacks, so please do not weigh this in today's round. Now let's look at their point about drone strikes. Mahmoud of UWA finds that research of the consequences of 420 drone strikes in Pakistan between 2006 and 2016 finds that they encourage terrorism and cause up to 17% of all terrorist attacks in the country. So remember that their evidence is about following a drone, in the week following a drone strike, it goes down 24%. But in general, if you look at the big picture, drone strikes are causing a 17% increase in terrorist attacks. So you can see, by looking at the big picture, their evidence is clearly outweighed. Now let's move on to their second subpoint about domestic terrorism. Again, remember when my partner asked for a card citing this domestic terrorism point, they were unable to provide any. So you can clearly see that you can refer to our side when we tell you that in 2019 there were the most hate crimes in a decade and that the NSA is doing nothing to quell these attacks as they are only climbing. And then many times at the Capitol building riots, white supremacists had been found and the NSA could do nothing to stop it.
I know. Yeah, Trump was not doing
anything.
Yeah.
Is going up. You can look
Obviously, that's just
literally
logic.
less than 3 weeks ago when we had an insurrection at the Capitol building, and this is a domestic terror incident. This domestic terror incident could have been stopped by the NSA, but the NSA and police could not work in tandem to stop this attack. So you can clearly see that whilst the NSA may have the capabilities to do so, it is not happening in the status quo, and we are failing to provide any solvency for domestic terror. Now let's move on to the second contention about pandemics. First off, think about, you have to start by looking at Biden, who said he will employ an army to engage in manual contact tracing efforts. And then my opponents have to prove that surveillance is much better than this in order to offset any problems that are caused in the status quo right now. If they're unable to prove this, you cannot weigh any points about the COVID-19 pandemic. But then let's look towards future pandemics. They assume that future pandemics start from factory farms, but U.S. News finds that empirically pandemics have not started from U.S. factory farms, but from developing world countries in Asia and Africa. And if you don't buy this, we can tell you that we're seeing no solvency in the status quo we are seeing solvency in the status quo without the NSA's help, as found in Movement 19, which finds that the U.S. is making a big shift away from factory farms, as more people are using less factory farm goods. So from this, you can see that point about factory farms is flawed in two ways. One, we're already seeing solvency. We're already stopping the problem about factory farms. And two, factory farms even aren't where pandemics start from. The COVID-19 did not start from a factory farm. The last major pandemic, quote unquote, was Ebola, and that did not start from a factory farm. Right now, none of our pandemics are starting from factory farms. You can look.
That's easy to
and then looking at the cards that I requested, looking at their card about $0 on a potential weapon, this is not about domestic terrorism. Remember that my opponent's linked to this card to domestic terrorism? However, the card clearly cites foreign actors. Foreign is meaning not domestic terrorists, and for that reason, I'm proud to support a pro ballot. Thank you.
Okay, wait, whatever. Foreign terror.
Yeah, can you just tell me the date on the evidence that we're moving away from factory farms?
Sure.
Yeah.
That was in, do you want the month or do you?
The month.
The month?
Yeah.
That was February 2017. But that was our secondary, like judges remember.
Okay. We'll take some prep.
Wait, well, why'd you ask for the date? Too stupid. What? Alright. We're going for pandemics, right?
Yes, I'll be showing the whole thing.
Okay, no. There's 3 dog responses on pandemics. Just use our more recent evidence that say we're still using factory farms. Say the next pandemics are going to be different. Also, what are you?
Yeah. End it.
All right.
End it. Okay. Is everyone good? So it's just gonna go down their case and then down our case. If everyone's ready, let's start time now. Let's start on their first argument about an opioid crisis. They try to make this really long and confusing link chain about how NSA surveillance causes the opioid crisis. There's 3 problems with this. First of all, Brown University finds that just recently the Supreme Court ruled the NSA surveillance constitutional by way of the 4th Amendment. This means that their argument isn't true. But then second of all, I would say that the CBPP finds that Medicaid funding is increasing in the status quo. That's why their argument about the opioid crisis, the NSA causing Medicaid decreasing in the opioid crisis is flawed. But then let's go to their impacts about the opioid crisis. I would say that we link into this impact way better because we solve for the greatest health crisis in the world, which is a pandemic which kills 900 million people, and opioid crisis kills 49,000 people. At that point, if both of us win if I win my pandemic argument and he wins his opioid argument, I'd say you're voting for us. You're going to prefer our argument more because we save 900 million people. They say 49,000. The argument isn't true. But then let's go to their second argument about Israel. There's a few problems with this. First of all, in order for their argument to be historically true, that Iran has to nuclearize. But the problem is, Shamir 19 explains there's 3 reasons why Iran won't nuclearize, and the biggest reason is because of religious norms, and Iran doesn't have enough uranium to nuclearize. In order for their argument to be true, Israel has to retaliate against Iran, who's going to nuclearize, but that's not true. And then second of all, Bloomberg finds that Israel will never attack Iran because they don't want to risk their relationship with the United States. This is really important because it means that their argument isn't going to happen in the other world. But then second of all, I would say that we solve for terrorism way better because historically Brigham University finds that when we implement a drone strike, the probability of another terrorist attack falls by 24%. This is key. That's why you're voting this round on inherency, because I would say at the point where with drone strikes historically stop terrorism, and our Michael's evidence says that historically drone strikes were key to stopping ISIS, we solve for terrorism way better. But now let's go to our case. Starting on our first subpoint of global terrorism, he makes a couple of responses. The first thing he says is that our argument about the NSA preventing 50 terrorist attacks is a lie, and the NSA director acknowledges. This is completely false. This is a different piece of evidence that they're talking about. They're talking about an evidence from 2019, the NSA director talking in 2019. Our evidence is from 2013 saying that we prevented 50 attacks with drone strikes. It's not the evidence that they're talking about. Don't let them try to indict it. But then second of all, they say that in 420 drone strikes, 17% of them led to another terrorist attacks. I would say even if this is true, there's always more terrorism in their world because drone strikes are historically effective and they stop more terrorist attacks. So even if there's terrorist attacks in our world, there's always more in theirs. But then on our subpoint B about domestic terrorism, the first thing he tries tries to say that we don't provide any evidence saying that domestic terrorism is on the rise. But our Jones evidence says that because of the political partisanship, domestic terrorism ideologies are on the rise right now. That's why I would say it's really important that we have the NSA, because Rengapa finds that in 2019 alone, we arrested 100 domestic terrorists. This is really important because he gives the Capitol Hill attack as an example of the NSA not preventing domestic terrorism. I would say that the reason that we didn't stop the domestic terrorism for the Capitol Hill attack was because Trump didn't allow the security to go there, and he didn't allow any law enforcement to take action. That's why I would say in this administration, it's much more likely that doesn't happen. But because we have a Democratic person in office. But then on our second contention of pandemics, he says a few things. The first thing he says that we don't need surveillance, but he completely misses our Baker evidence, which says that the NSA provides the best early warning system in pandemics because it's mass data collection. This is really key. The next thing he says is that factory farms are unlikely. His evidence is from 2017. Our evidence from 2020 says that the United States is shifting heavily towards factory farms for pandemics, and our evidence also says that this is the most likely cause of pandemics in the future. At that point, I would say you're going to vote for us on probability because it's much more probable that a pandemic comes from a factory farm. Then he says that COVID wasn't from a factory farm. It really actually was in China. It was from a factory farm in China. And our evidence says it's much more likely it happens in the United States in the future. All right, you ready for cross?
Oh wait, I'm muted.
Okay. You're done, right?
Yeah, I'm done. Are you ready for cross?
Okay. Can I see your card on the 50 attacks by drone strikes then?
Yeah.
For the card?
Yeah.
COVID was from a factory farm?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe
Someone ate a bat.
Dude, no, but it was from a factory. I don't even know.
I don't know why you said that, dude. That's
It is,
They're
dude.
gonna call for like 8 pieces of evidence on
No, it,
it. Alright, you got good.
you know what a factory farm is?
What? Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
farm,
dude,
bro.
it causes. I know what farm is. Okay, wait.
Bro, it's fine. It's fine. We're winning on the floor, bro. Low key.
Wait, what's the ring? Oh, ring up 100K. There it is. Stopped.
I sent it to you. I emailed you.
Oh, God, I was gonna do that. It's way different. I know that, right? It's not that 50 other one, right? Right?
Huh?
It's different, right? That he's talking about.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different evidence.
Cool.
Copy it. Yeah. All right.
Alright, I
Yeah.
sent that.
You guys-
So,
Okay, yeah. Is there a control F I need to do, or?
what's
I'm pretty sure it says title.
I think it's just like a title. You can just find it, really.
It talks about data dragnets, not drone strikes.
I
Are you
know.
just saying that's what it is?
It does. One sec.
Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, this isn't supposed to talk about drone strikes. I don't know what he's talking about.
It is.
No, it's
Right
not.
here, you
Yeah, that evidence isn't supposed to talk about drone strikes. It's not.
yeah, it's like
You linked it to drone strikes.
Okay, yeah, you
You
can.
said the
talks to-
NSA stopped 50 attacks with drone strikes. Okay, it's fine. I'm ready for cross.
Yeah.
alright, what?
Okay, let me get my timer. So, are my opponents ready?
Yeah.
Judges? Oh, wait. Okay, I'll start the time. Okay, so let's start by looking at your first contention. Again, you say that, you say that we need drone strikes to stop this
Yeah.
terrorism. What is stopping us from using a more conventional attack, like pilots and planes?
Drone
Drop
strikes.
the bomb.
Okay, first of all, drone strikes will result in a lot less casualties. And our Michael's evidence, which you guys don't respond to, says that drone strikes were the key in taking down ISIS inevitably. But can I have a question?
Sure.
Okay, so on this argument of opioid crisis, right? Let's talk about that.
Yes.
So how does the NSA link into Medicaid being gone?
So the NSA does not link to Medicaid.
Okay.
The NSA. So we have two link chains here. Okay.
So it doesn't link to
Remember that
Medicaid.
we have our Toomey warrant, which shows that warrantless wiretapping is, and then that links to our Clendon warrant.
What's
which shows-
warrantless wiretapping?
Let me continue. Okay. Which links to our Clendon warrant about the police officers removing the restraints of police seizures because of the leniency of the Fourth Amendment, which was caused by the NSA doing this warrantless wiretapping. Okay. So this police ability has led to us being able to execute the war on drugs
Why?
I'm sorry, I'm hearing an echo. I'm
Why?
sorry.
No, why has that led to our ability to execute the war on drugs?
Okay, so remember we said that we said that we can do searches without probable cause, and this probable cause.
What does that have to do with the war on drugs, though?
The war on drugs is searches without probable cause. That's a major part of it.
Okay. So, but what does that have to do with Medicaid then?
The war on drugs is leading to a spike in the costs in Medicaid.
But Medicaid funding is increasing, though. So.
But just because the funding is increasing doesn't
Yeah.
mean it doesn't cost Medicaid more.
Yeah, but if there's more, okay, no, like
Okay,
if,
so you're saying because we're giving it more money, it doesn't matter that we're spending more? Is that your argument?
yeah,
Yes?
yeah. That's
Okay,
my-
my partner can touch on that.
Great.
Okay, can I ask the question?
Sure.
So let's look at your subpoint D, I believe.
Sure.
So you're saying that the FBI arrested 100 people in 2019, but can't you clearly see that there's more than 100 people who are part of this domestic terror? Like we saw, like
How many people are
thousands
there?
of people at the Capitol.
How many people are there? Okay, I responded to the Capitol attack really clearly. Trump didn't make any action until it got really bad. I would say that since we have a different officer, different person in charge, a more left person in charge, I would say that wouldn't happen again. But can I ask you a question on this? Hold on.
Is there evidence to prove this, or is this a claim?
I mean, I can show you evidence later. But can I ask you a question on this Israel argument, right?
That's the end of time.
Yeah,
There's
there's
one
still
more spot. Can I see the evidence to prove that?
to prove what? For what? Wait.
That Joe Biden will be more active in domestic terror? Because you said that your link was that what's this? The
No,
Democrat-
that's not what I was saying. I would never
See,
mind.
okay, no, you said that Donald Trump didn't act until it was
Yeah,
too late.
he did.
And then you said that the new Democrats will. Is there
Yeah.
a link for that?
Sure.
Okay, so we'll just find it. We'll be on mute for a little bit.
I'll wait for that.
Why does he
Dude,
need
what evidence does he need? I'm so
He
confused.
needs evidence on that Biden will act differently on a terrorism attack. But Biden, it's literally common knowledge. You can literally, oh my god, this team's so
Wait.
shitty. Dude. All right, just,
Oh no! They were Trump supporters. That's why Trump didn't say anything. They weren't buying. I got it. Okay, so we don't have evidence for that response, but we can explain it later.
So no evidence. Okay,
No.
got it.
no evidence for the
Fine.
Biden ride.
You'll see. You'll see.
Alright, so I want to figure out my summary. Okay, so
Wait, is it just getting prep?
in my time
No.
now, so let's begin our rebuttal. Looking at the first contention, my partner's already addressed most of the points about this terrorism, terrorism, right? We also have to emphasize that since 2016, domestic terror has literally increased by 300%. This is happening in their world, in the status quo. They provide no substance for this. Therefore, all their points about domestic terrorism can be dropped from this round. Also, we'd like to emphasize that a White House panel member literally came out and said that the NSA program has stopped 0 terror attacks and that the program is not able to do so. Therefore, through all of our rebuttal and summary, you can drop this whole point about international terrorism. Let's move on to their drone point that they put so much emphasis on. We'd like to emphasize that the Greenwald that received the following reports that the NSA SIM card tracking by a former JSOC drone operator. He said that innocent civilians have been absolutely killed during these strikes. Quote, one problem he explains is that targets are increasingly aware of the NSA's reliance on geolocating and has moved to thwart the tactic. Some have as many as 16 different SIM cards associated with their identity within the high value target system, and others unaware that their mobile phone is being targeted lend their phone with the SIM card in it to friends, children, spouses, and family members. The NSA sometimes facilitates strikes without knowing whether the individual in possession of a tracked cell phone or SIM card is in fact the intended target of the strike. This literally came out and telling you that an NSA operator of a drone came out and said that they cannot fully 100% accurately pinpoint these terrorists and drone attacks. And on top of this, to the point of the 17% of all
Dude, aren't these all new
terrorist
responses?
attacks, and we said
First summary.
drop their
No, bro.
drop their point about drone strikes.
It doesn't matter,
Let's
dude.
move on to their pandemic point, right? We tell you,
Okay,
we tell you in
pandemics,
rebuttal
same
that factories farm, they don't start from US factory farms. However, let me add on to this. Their solvency for the problem of future pandemics literally won't even work. The lack of testing, people not following guidelines, and people not wearing masks does not go away
Okay,
even if there's
that's really
surveillance
good.
as we are seeing right now in the status quo. Nothing happening right
No,
now.
we
gives
stopped
any
the root
indication
cause
that NSA
before the
being able to stop
testing.
a future pandemic. People can just leave their phones at home and break from the surveillance. Also, let's judge, we would tell you that to cross out that impact about 900 million dying from the next pandemic out from your flow. This simulation was done in 2018 before the COVID pandemic even occurred. So how did the projection fare against the actual pandemic results? With us currently sitting at 2 million deaths from COVID, while nothing to scoff at, the study clearly overestimated the response to a global
From a
pandemic.
U.S.
Furthermore,
pandemic,
considering we have
right?
witnessed devastation of the pandemic can be converting, we are even more likely to take other preventive measures in the future that will be more effective, including quicker border closure, stricter business mandates, and increased testing facility capacity. So because of the fact we farm lack, and because of our responses to the KPIs of lives, they can completely drop their sick detection as well. And also that makes us win on the KPI of lives and opiate deaths. Sorry. So we want to their responses to our case. Their only response to our first contention is that the link chain is wrong. However, the main component is that the NSA explicitly violates the court, right? So because of this violation, it's been proven that the NSA sits on precedent that the state reports its way and we have referred to citizens.
Okay.
And due to this,
So
the Supreme
they-
Court cannot
I
be
need
sent
to
to
finish
back
listening.
court because of this precedent that the NSA is literally providing to the rest of the government, which executes the war on drugs and access to the rest of our impacts. Let's move on to the second contention. Their only response is that like Iran and like a war is impossible. However, we tell you that tensions are escalating right now in their world, and they provide no solvency for this. Therefore, their responses drop, and thus we strongly urge a pro-balance.
Okay, we'll take some running prep
Alright.
starting now. Okay, wait. So first, on our pandemics argument, there's as well. So, with that being said, is my partner ready?
Yeah.
Opponents ready? And then all three judges, are you guys ready? Okay, cool. Then I shall begin. Now, starting off with my opponent's first contention about the opioid crisis, right? They talk about this Fourth Amendment and how we're not following it. However, our opponents fail to recognize in summary what my partner brought up is the Brown evidence that says that the NSA ruled the constitutional based on the Fourth Amendment, meaning that the NSA is declared that it's not actually breaking the Fourth Amendment and it's free to go. That means that you can't give them access to anything they say after that because it all revolves around the Fourth Amendment, which is already solved by the NSA and the Constitution. Next, they talk about how there's gonna be a great health crisis, and they talk about 49,000 lives. First of all, you can't weigh that because it's all around the Fourth Amendment, and the Fourth Amendment is already declared, as I already said. Second of all, our impacts 900 million health people. So I would say even if you buy their impact, then you have to buy ours for more reasons because it's 900 million people versus 49,000. Next, they talk about Israel, right? They extend one thing and they group all our responses to tensions are escalating. However, Iran has to nuclearize. That won't happen because of the evidence they missed on Bloomberg that says Israel will never attack Iran because it will destroy its views with the U.S. It'll destroy the views with the U.S. Also, they completely missed that the second response we give, which was that there has to be religious norms. So at that point, I would say the probability of Israel and Iran going into war is very, very minimal. Tensions will just stay as tensions in both worlds, and a war will never actually happen. Now, the place you're actually going to be voting for is on our second contention on pandemics. Our argument is very simple. We're stopping the next U.S. originating pandemic that will occur in the next 5 to 10 years. They give a few responses. The first response is that there's a lack of testing, and like in the COVID pandemic, no one really listened, so the NSA won't be able to do anything. However, two responses. One, COVID didn't originate from the US, so we had to be really defensive. However, if we stop the root cause, which is starting a pandemic from the US, which will inevitably happen in the next 5 to 10 years, we stop a next pandemic from actually happening. That kicks in to the impact, which is 900 million lives, the greatest impact in today's round. That's where you're going to be voting off of magnitude because it's the greatest impact and you're saving 900 million lives. Look to Taiwan. They had highly intensive surveilling, which our opponents completely dropped, which means that there was only 6 deaths because they surveilled. If we can do the same from a U.S. originating pandemic, we save these lives. They give another response on the U.S. is not shifting to a factory farm. Look to the more recent evidence that postdates them that says from 2020, the U.S. is shifting to factory farms. You have to prefer the most recent evidence because that's what's actually happening. So at that point, I would say they have no responses left on there. They have no responses left on our second contention. You can cleanly flow through the 900 million lives, and they have no standing offense on their case either. So at that point, I would say that you can't buy off their Israel evidence, you can't buy on their opioid crisis, because both of their things are outweighed by our 900 million lives that we save on a pandemic. That's why you're gonna vote con.
Vote con.
All right, is everyone ready for Brad?
Yeah,
We're ready.
Okay. I have the first question.
Yeah.
I'm going to start my timer
Cool.
now. So you yourself said that more recent evidence is more important. So looking at your swine flu thing, wouldn't you say that the 2 newer pandemics are more important? Because at the top of your swine flu card, it says that in the last few weeks when the swine flu happened, so I'm assuming this will be around 2009, 2010. So there have been 2 pandemics since then. Don't you agree that those should weigh more in today's round?
Why?
I would argue that wait. First of all,
more than
question. Are you asking a question based on what type
way
of
more than
pandemic?
what?
Wait,
I'm saying, wouldn't you agree that in today's round we should weigh more recent evidence about Ebola and COVID-19 heavier than the swine flu?
Okay, hold on.
No.
Coronavirus, where did it originate from? Obviously not the US. That's the root cause that we're actually stopping. That's the pandemic that will happen from the factory
So you
farms.
guys completely misconstrue the point. Our evidence says that the most likely cause of a pandemic in the future is a factory farm pandemic, and the US is growing factory farms more than anyone is. That's why we stop for factory farm pandemics, because our Baker evidence says that the NSA is the best at tracking pandemics. But it's been a minute of Crossfire. I'm gonna ask you a question. So let's talk about this opioid crisis, right? So if the NSA if the Supreme Court rules the NSA surveillance constitutional, how does your argument link into this opioid crisis?
So, Matthew, you want to?
Well, basically, when we tell you that the Supreme Court was leaning on the issue, obviously they didn't actually explicitly hold the fact
They
that
did.
They did. That's the Brown evidence we
You
give you
guys
in all
completely
parts
dropped
of our case. You haven't even
You
responded
didn't
to
say
it.
the word Brown in summary.
Yeah, it went unresponsive. But do you have a question?
Wait, can you repeat that?
Yeah,
I just said-
okay. So
I just
at the
said
top, literally the first response to my rebuttal was from Brown University, who says that the Supreme Court ruled the NSA's for the NSA constitutional surveillance, right? So how does your argument link into the opioid crisis?
I mean, we already tell you the points about.
Okay, remember we have 2 links here. Like you completely dropped our DEA link, which was about how ending the NSA.
I didn't
would
contextualize
take the
that
legs
at
out
all.
from the DEA. This is something brought up in the summary. So
That wasn't really contextualized.
Oh, yeah.
So it's my other question. So like, how would you solve for all of our opioid deaths that are happening from the Commonwealth right now? Because like obviously you're gonna have to provide some solvency.
Yeah,
right?
well, I would say that Medicaid
Yeah,
funding is
no,
getting better.
okay, so
itself.
basically, our argument is that we solve for the greatest health disaster in the
Yeah.
world, the greatest possible health disaster, which is a pandemic, which is the worst.
Okay, if you solved for this, then why did the COVID-19 pandemic happen?
Because it didn't.
Because,
Okay,
yeah.
first of all, you're misconstruing it because our evidence says that the next U.S.
Yeah.
originating pandemic, which will happen in the next 5 to 10
Okay,
years.
yeah, and let me further that, right? Our Rosenstein evidence says really clearly that because surveillance and contact tracing during the COVID pandemic was really bad, bilateral support for surveillance during a pandemic is rising really rapidly. That's why in the pandemic in the future, it's much more likely that we're going to see the NSA surveilling and the pandemic not being as bad as it would be in your world.
Yeah.
That's time.
But yeah, that's hard.
That's fair. We're on the upper path.
All right, cool. Yo, let's do this.
We're winning this, bro. It's over.
We pull out the nails. I pull out the sheet. I pull out the fat. I pull out the bleak.
Bro,
Why is there only one viewer? That's sad.
dude, why is someone on, bro?
I know.
They all left. It was really, I think Roy's still on.
Good.
Dude, we really don't have any prep. Like, I think we went over.
Huh?
We went over prep.
Yeah. No, it's fine. You know what to say, right?
Mhm.
Very good. Wait, oh my god, how many messages?
There's a lot.
Wait, was my summary good?
Yeah.
Very good.
Dude, how much prep do they have left? They barely use any. Dude, I was so scared when they started reading the opioid argument. I had no idea what to say.
Yeah.
Bro, they're gonna post in so long though. It's
Yeah.
gonna take like an hour. Why is there a banana here?
You can't say opioid. Yeah, you cannot
Dude,
say
I know, bro. I couldn't. Oh, I said opioid or something.
Someone ate a bat. It's like Alex's grandpa who ate a bat.
What?
I don't know.
No, this is Jim Cross. This is Jim Cross.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being time on prep, let's set up our timer. So let's begin our enough time roadmap. Let's begin by looking at my opponent's case, then our case, then do some weighing at the end. Let's start our time. Now, judges, let's start by looking at my opponent's first contention, which has been clean dropped through summary. This means they haven't flowed any part of their first contention, including their point about drone strikes and domestic terrorism through summary. Do not weigh this in today's round. Do not let them convince you otherwise. Let's look at their second contention. Again, you can't weigh their H1N1 and factory farms card because of one main reason. They say that this will happen in the future. However, this is a card from 2009 or 2010. That means that in the last 10 years, none of these impacts they say will happen have happened. Instead, we've had two other pandemics, Ebola and COVID-19. And that moves on to my second point about they say that Taiwan uses surveillance to stop the COVID-19 pandemic. Again, remember that if they want to argue about U.S. pandemic, they can't argue that Taiwan uses surveillance over a U.S. pandemic. So they have no links to any of the impacts. And even their one impact is majorly flawed because remember what my partner told you in his summary. This 900 million point is completely flawed because the simulation was done in 2018. So with us currently sitting at 2 million deaths from COVID, the study clearly overestimated the response to a global
don't
pandemic.
let them buy that.
This means that
I know.
the global
I
pandemic
got you.
will not
Please.
have
I got you.
will not have 900 million deaths. In the status quo, when it happened, it had 2 million deaths. So you can clearly see that it's flawed. Now, moving on to our case, remember that we have our Fourth Amendment thing is not about the Supreme Court. It's about the NSA setting a precedent. A precedent is not the Supreme Court. The
You
NSA
didn't mute during my
subverting
summary.
the Fourth Amendment
I
is
did.
how we
Why?
reach our impacts.
Why?
And remember, our
You
impacts
should
have
know.
only been
I
responded
did.
to
I'm
as
sorry.
an increase in the
I
Medicaid
didn't want
funding,
you to,
which
actually.
$72.4 billion
Prove
is a
one
major
time.
part of Medicaid funding. And then again, remember on our second,
I just muted during prep.
Iran is not Hezbollah. So if you can't weigh anything that my opponents say about Hezbollah being stopped, and instead you can't say anything about a war with Iran. You have to look at a war with Hezbollah, which my opponents have not responded to. And for that reason, I'm proud to affirm today's resolution. Thank you.
We have 10 seconds of prep left.
Alright.
Alright, we have like 12 seconds of prep left. We'll just run it starting now. Okay, you're gonna first go. Okay, for the factory farms, just say like the evidence.
Yeah.
Say that U.S. originating. Please explain that really, really well.
Yeah.
And then Israel in crisis say they can't get access, and we
Yeah.
dropped our first contention, so don't buy any of
Don't
the.
buy.
Just please.
I got you.
All right, that was the rest of our
So
prep.
it's just gonna go like reasons not. Yeah, it's just gonna go like down their case and then our second contention.
Then wait.
Is everyone ready? Let's start on their first contention of an opioid crisis. They try to give you this really long, confusing link chain of how the NSA causes an opioid crisis. There's two reasons why you're not voting for this argument today. First of all, they completely cold dropped the Brown University evidence, which says that the Supreme Court recently ruled the NSA constitutional. This means that all their warranting about the NSA not being constitutional, not causing an opioid crisis, it doesn't link in. But then the second reason you're not voting for it is because we solved, even if you believe their entire warranting, we solved for the largest health crisis you could ever have, which is the pandemic, which kills 900 million people. He gives a response to that really late. I'll get to that in my case. But then on this argument of Israel, there's two reasons why you're not voting for this argument. First of all, Bloomberg finds that Israel will never attack Iran because they don't want to risk the relationship with the United States. They cold drop this throughout the round. And second of all, they don't extend a single impact on their entire case. There's no offense for them. There's no way you can vote for them, even if you wanted to. Now, let's go to our second contention of pandemics, where this is the only place that really makes sense in the round. Our argument is really simple. We say that right now, a pandemic is inevitable in 5 to 10 years, and the only way we can contain it is with the NSA because of our Baker evidence, which says that the NSA has the best early warning system when it comes to pandemics because it collects data on a bigger scale than anyone can. He gives 3 responses in Final Focus. All of them really new. The first response he says is our H1N1 evidence is from 2009. I would say that's not the point. We're saying that a factory farm pandemic can kill millions, and we save millions of lives. But then he says that Taiwan surveilled, and it wasn't in the United States, so it's not topical. I would say that the reason we cite Taiwan only having 6 COVID deaths is we're showing that surveillance works really well when it's done in pandemics. And I would say that this exact thing would have happened in the United States if we did surveillance on a mass scale, which will happen in the next pandemic. The last thing he says is that our 900 million cars is an old study. I encourage you to call for its evidence. It's from 2020, saying that the next pandemic after COVID will kill 900 million people. It's the largest impact in the round. It's an easy con ballot today. Thank you.
All right. Good round, guys. Thank you, all 3 judges, for judging.
Thank you all. Good luck and
Thank
sorry
you.
for the delay.
Thank you.
Yeah, all right.
Good luck, everyone.
Dubs.
Bro, that's a 3-0, bro.
That's a